I'm delighted, first of all, to invite Stephane Morel to the stage, Novartis. And actually what we're going to talk about is, look, if category management is going to succeed in whatever guise we do it, it's actually got to be relevant to the business. And I am delighted to invite Stephane to the stage to tell us how it can be relevant. Stephane, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Richard. Hello, everybody. Good morning. Thank you, Cirtuo, for organizing this category management event. Really appreciate for that, and a pleasure to have the opportunity to share my views on category management. So, a little bit of background. I was lucky to teach category management in 1996. I was doing a one-year full-time master in France after my studies at university. But really, I applied Catman in my fourth role. I was a category director. And by the way, at that time with the team, we thought we were doing great Catman. With a little bit more of experience on the topic, we were just doing 50% of it, but we were very happy with what we were doing at that time. So at Novartis in Spain, with the team, we decided to try to upgrade our Catman approach. So we selected few categories, and I hope and I think we did quite a good job there. So for the last 10 years, at Novartis and in also some business schools in Barcelona, I've been helping quite many category managers to try to upgrade their Catman approach. So as you can imagine, I'm quite passionate about the topic. And today what I'm going to do is just to share my views on how we can make it more relevant to the business. Yesterday you had a fantastic and visual presentation. I'm a procurement guy, so you're going to see many bullet points, many text. The good news is that if you are interested, it will be for you after the event. Cirtuo will be able to share the materials with you guys. So let's start with that. And the first thing, when we are talking about relevance to the business, we need to make obviously an assessment. So what is our starting point? Even better if we can understand what are our pain points. And for many organizations, we need to understand that it's not always easy to say that we are not as good as we think or we say we are. So this exercise with the leadership team is not always easy. You can see here a generic long list. And what is important is, let's make this list for our own organization. But anyway, what you will see is three impacts on those pain points. The first one is, this is a problem of efficiency of our procurement team. You have an impact also in terms of quality of the deliverables or the outcomes. And finally, if we go through this list, you see that we can have an impact in terms of how the stakeholders will perceive procurement or will perceive Catman if they understand what Catman is about. So that's how we start. And then what we can do is to answer two tough questions. The first question is, why should we be doing Catman? And I think we need just to ask this question. So then you can ask the second question, what we will have to do differently once we agree we need Catman. When you start to answer those two questions, basically your answer somehow will fall in one of those three chapters. So the first one is focus or defining what category management means for our organization. We will have to overcome or solve a few challenges. And today we cannot talk about Catman without talking about digitalization. So here, once again, that's an example. It's very easy to come with this long list. The only challenge is, can I select the top three topics for each of those three chapters? What are my 3x3 priorities? So I can tell you just by experience, I was good at doing this table. I was not so successful at finishing the prioritization exercise because we wanted to tackle everything. Tackling everything means that you're putting yourself in a position of failure rather than success. So once we've done this introduction, now we can say, look, how do we make category management more relevant to the business? I'm going to share with you those 5, what I think are tips and tricks. We are going to talk about category management framework. We are going to talk about, obviously, engagement of our procurement team and stakeholders. Let's talk a little bit, yesterday we had that also in parallel conversation about agile strategy. And then obviously, I will share with you how we have been deploying Catman at Novartis, and finally, our digitization requirements. Okay? So let's go for that. The first step is to create our category management framework with the leadership team. We did the previous exercise with the leadership team, but this exercise of building the framework is done with the middle layer of the organization, with your Catman and other procurement functions. You don't involve the leadership team in this exercise. So for me, 3 steps. The first one, you've got your end-to-end procurement processes. So first question, is it the right time to tackle Catman versus any other procurement processes? Where do we have more burden, more pain points? Is it Catman? Yes, no. And here, honestly, that's a very personal view. I've been putting managed category in the center of all our end-to-end procurement. I just believe in that, by the way, when you see the content of what should be a category strategy. So that's the first step. We go for Catman as a process or activity. So then, what good Catman looks like for our company. Here, you've got the definition we have been creating at Novartis, nothing really new or surprising. What is important for me is to highlight the 2 things in blue. We are connecting our definition to the business. So basically for us, it's about creating a midterm, long-term bold vision. And this vision, in a few sentences, we are explaining how with the category we are going to solve business issue or we are going to help the business. Creating this bold vision is super hard. We have been creating 100 categories in Cirtuo. That was the most difficult exercise for our category manager. You've got this vision, you've got your strategic objectives, so you need benefits or measurement, whatever you want to call it. How can we have less pure procurement objectives or measurements and move up to more business benefits and business measurements? Easy to say, but not easy to get. So with that, I think we are okay with the definition of category management, but we have to move then to the 3rd step. What is a category strategy? We don't have any standards in the function, in the profession, and in an organization, we will have tens of different views on what is a category strategy. And it is so important to align because basically on what you see here, you are determining the expectation for the category manager in terms of delivery, in terms of workload, and in terms of how seriousness you want to do category management, yes or no. Once you are doing this framework, we will have once again 2 tough questions. The first question is, do we want to flex Catman? So flexing Catman means, can we opt for full Catman? In my Cirtuo world is, do we need to go through the more than 300 questions in guided strategy creation? That's full Catman. Or do we just want to do Catman Lite or Catman Light Touch? We just enter whatever we want and we create a strategy. I will tell you by experience, in a non-disciplined organization, if you accept to flex, you will end, in the vast majority of the cases, with Catman Lite. Catman Lite means also strategy light touch, and then we start to understand why category management has been criticized over the last few years. Having a light strategy is what we get. Now we say, no, it's okay, yeah. So now we can go for full Catman. We cannot do full Catman for every category. We need to prioritize which of the category we are going to put through full Catman. Try to do this exercise. Our category managers are totally biased. All their categories are the most strategic in the world. So making this exercise is also very hard. And the big question, if you choose full Catman, is, Stephane, what do we do when we don't do full Catman? I still have a category. So the next tough question is, can we all align between Catman and strategic sourcing? As a profession, we absolutely disagree. We've got many definitions. I tested that a few months ago in a post. We have many definitions. That's not my definition. It's one of the definitions in our profession, and it's the one I like the most. So, Catman definition is quite clear. It's our approach to manage the spend. We create value, we create a strategy, we implement, and we put all our procurement levers in Catman. What strategic sourcing mean? Here it's where we start to have issues. For me, I like this definition. It's a project. It's a robust bidding. At the end of this big RFX, we've got a supplier panel, we've got great deals, contracts, and we do a bit of supplier management, performance management. So that's fantastic. I am also in favor of good strategic sourcing in the categories which are not so critical, and for the critical categories, I do full Catman. So, as an organization, can we agree on those 2 questions? Flexing Catman, yes or no? Do we align on category management and strategic sourcing? With that, I think we can reach an agreement and a good category management framework. So with that, we can start. And we can start by what? By making a collaborative exercise. I think for all of us in this room, the challenge of Catman is to make it collaborative. I think, Mark, you always repeat that. We need to engage the business. Before the business, by the way, we need to engage our procurement teams. I don't know for you, but how many times we've been in presentation of strategy from category managers, you've got country procurement guys in the room, and they start to push back the strategy. You say, what's happening? That's the rule. Yeah, but I don't understand. It should be a collaborative exercise, and even within us, we are fighting against the strategy presented, so it's not working. Then we have to onboard the stakeholders. Real example, 2 years in order to have a travel board. I spent also 7 months in order to have a steering committee and a project team on the car fleet project. So this is how hard it is to get our stakeholders on board. So we cannot avoid this step, and it's very hard. Now, in terms of activities, our procurement people will do most of the activities and steps of Catman, okay? We can put also some subject matter experts. What do we do with our stakeholder? Honestly, based on the Cirtuo model, I said, let's do the top business requirements. It's a no-brainer. I am personally highly in favor of working with the business stakeholders on the SWOT, because I love the SWOT as a conclusion of our analysis, and it's a no-brainer. Let's have them working on a kind of workshop of prioritizing our strategic options. So in the Cirtuo world, strategic options means our procurement levers, like the procurement chessboard, the 64 methodologies, and then obviously we work with them on our strategic objective and initiatives. So very easy to say, wow, so hard in real life to achieve. So I was just putting through small, I say measurement. It was not a measurement for my category managers, but 2 things I was checking. In the category week, when the category manager is presenting his or her strategy, do we have the stakeholder in the room or in the call? That's a good sign, if it has been collaborative or not. And the second thing I was asking is, can you please come with a video with your stakeholders, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. The topic related to Catman can be the experience, can be the strategy, whatever you want. I don't care about the content. I just care that you have been able to ask to your stakeholder to make a 3-minute video. And I can tell you, when the exercise was collaborative, great relationship between the category manager and the stakeholder, I was having both. They were in the presentation, I was receiving the video. So just a small trick and tips for us. It was quite simple, but also useful. Okay? So here I think this is our massive challenge for all of us. The next point is agile strategy. We talked a little bit about that yesterday. The big question is, Stephane, why do we spend so much time creating the strategy, and in just 2 or 3 months we will have to change it because we've got internal, external impact and changes of stakeholders? So I say loud and clear, we need a strategy. I don't want to be a kind of headless chicken, no? Running everywhere or nowhere, by the way, or just a fireman. Choose the image you want. We need a strategy, and by the way, when you are having this new stakeholder, you can show him or her something. We have an approved strategy, we've got actions already completed, we've got initiatives ongoing, and we need to get his or her insight. I'm going to choose where I want the insight from this stakeholder. I've got all that written, and I want you to comment here, 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 and here. I'm not starting the wheel once again from scratch, so I'm not reinventing the wheel. By the way, the stakeholder, when he's looking at that, he can agree, he can disagree, he can come and they say, wow, that's procurement, I understand what you are doing. So, no doubt on that. The difficulty as a function, I think, is how we do agile strategy. How are we revising our strategy in an agile way, formalizing the change? Because today we know, one day we are doing edging, following month, we stop edging, and we are going back forward in our strategies. Those are more tactics than strategies. So when you've got the storm, you've got your North Star. So that's why I think the bold vision in a category strategy is our North Star. I don't expect a bold vision to change a lot. What we will have to course correct is few strategic objectives, not all our strategic objectives, and few initiatives. Are we able to progress on that? We need a place, we need a tool to make that work easy for us. So I will not give any example of tool here. So that's for agile strategy. In terms of bold deployment, that's the experience we had at Novartis, and I was very lucky. Our former CPO gave us 4 or 5 months waiting in order to have a category refresh or a new category strategy. When you are joining, you are a new category manager coming in a new company, your boss is giving you what? Few weeks, 2 months, maximum 3 months to come with your strategy. This person coming from an outside company, what is she doing? She's just copy-pasting the strategy of her former company in the new company. What do we have? In the best case, we've got a bad strategy. In the worst case, we are having a highly damaging and impactful strategy. So I was lucky, we were having 4 months. We did that in terms of cohorts or waves. Each time we were putting 30 or 50 category managers. We were starting, and already at the end of the program, we were fixing in the agenda the category week. The category week was the presentation in front of the leadership team at the beginning. The last wave, it was in front of the whole procurement organization. During those weeks, the first step is, I will enter your category in Cirtuo only if you are coming with a working team. This working team will be created as user, but if you don't have a working team, I will even not activate your strategy, your category in Cirtuo. So we were coming with the working team. We did some onboarding call of the working teams. It's a nice to have, it's not a must have. Some few people were telling, well, great call, thanks a lot. It is helping us to understand what we are going to do through the next 4 or 5 months, okay? But what was important was, for us, the learning and practice program. 8 training sessions during 4 or 5 months of 1 hour, 1 hour and a half. And in between, you practice and play. So having a tool instead of a PowerPoint, honestly, thanks Cirtuo, it makes our life so much easier. Then, constantly, it's about lessons learned. We were also talking about the senior category managers and how they are living the fact of downloading their knowledge from a PowerPoint to a platform. And for them, in some cases, it's a nice intellectual and it's a nice challenge. For other part of our senior guys, it's a threat. And it's a threat for 2 reasons. One, it's a real download of their knowledge and they're worried. In the other case, it's a down of the knowledge they said they have and they don't have. So they are worried in both cases. So this will happen. The junior guys are more than happy. They don't know nothing about Catman. They follow the steps. They are super happy. So we need to constantly ask, what did you learn? What did you change in terms of insight, in terms of information, even better in terms of strategic objectives? And I can tell you, I also received some answers saying, no, I was doing it right 6 months ago in my PowerPoint. Cirtuo didn't change my life. And the problem of this answer is that the line manager was there and he was accepting, or she was accepting this answer. So the point also is, how do we engage the line manager? So for me, the rule was very clear. Very clear, not easy to have in place, but category manager are responsible of the strategy. The line manager is accountable. So when I'm doing the category week, the accountable guy is the line manager. It's not the category manager. Nice on the paper, in the real life, some line manager will take it very seriously. And when you are preparing the rehearsal call before the category, we had to do more than 100 rehearsal calls before the category week to test, because those guys were moving from a PowerPoint presentation to the executive summary model. It was perfectly fine, but they had to test it, and at the same time we were challenging the content. Some line managers were really careful about this rehearsal call, other line manager didn't care at all. And the same question applies to our category tower heads. How do they see the category strategy? Are they challenging? Yes, no, so here it's depending. Huh? So that's a little bit how we have been deploying, and here I'm just about talking deployment until we get to an approved strategy. So that's the fantastic thing. I've got 100 or plus strategies approved, but the real job is starting when you start to have the deployment of the initiatives. So this is another journey and another story. Okay? In terms of digitization, we have been talking a lot about that yesterday. This is my list of requirements. We have to go through that. And if I make a summary in a nutshell, category management is about analyzing internal, external data. We connect the dots and we create a strategy, and it must be approved. How can we do that in an easy way? So I need transparency, immediate feedback, especially on my external data. Thanks, Cirtuo, for helping us on that more and more in the future, maybe with Berway. That's great. How do we have transparency? And finally, for me, is how do we get it more and more future forward-looking? That's my problem, because today, we are still too often looking at the past, looking at the present, a little bit of demand for the next few months, but we are not looking enough at the future. So they will tell me, why are we looking at the future if we don't know it will change in 3 months? Once again, same question as agile strategy. So we absolutely need digitization. I really hope, and I think we've got an agreement here, and that's the start of a fantastic journey, that we will finally receive great, powerful recommendation from strategic options point of view and strategic objectives. This will help us a lot. We've got some security issues, guys. Are you ready to put all your strategy in common for an external company to analyze all those macro data in order to make benchmark and come with suggestion? So there is here, as a profession, a topic. How clear we are on sharing anonymously our strategies to have those macro analysis. So that's, I think, a key question for the future. Okay, so in a nutshell, that was my view on how to make category management more relevant for the business. It's all about collaboration, and it's all about being much more business and customer focused. So I would say, not like Eloise, I would say a long life Catman. Thank you very much.